Now, on the Hillary Clinton front, she articulated something with David Plouffe, who, of course, is someone, close to her, in a podcast. Let's play this. She was clearly talking about Tulsi Gabbard, and she is talking about a real thing, which is the Russian bots promoting Gabbard's candidacy. But here's how she articulated it and why there are a lot of questions being asked.
They're also going to do third party again. And I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset. Yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally.
Is her mistake using the phrase Russian asset, which is a technical term?
I think that that's problematic. And I think it's also problematic that she probably put more focus on Tulsi Gabbard as opposed to Jill Stein, which, to your point, to the question that you framed early, that's a real thing. What happened with Jill Stein in 2016 and the Russian bot supporting her and supporting Putin's interest, that's real. And so I think actually she started with the second part as opposed to the first. I think that would have been less problematic. But, people are using this, I think, as an excuse to try to drive a wedge between Hillary Clinton and some of these 2020 hopefuls and Democratic primary voters. Let's not forget, Hillary Clinton has logged the most votes of anyone in the history of presidential politics with 66 million votes. She beat the current president by 3 million votes. To suggest that she is not a central figure in Democratic politics and that her advice and counsel is not useful, I think is a mistake. So while this was a problematic moment for her, I do think that some of the Hillary panic backlash has been overwrought.
And I just want to point out, the president tweeted Jill Stein on Saturday about that, saying crooked Hillary Clinton just called the respected environmentalist and Green Party candidate Jill Stein a Russian asset. They need a Green Party more than ever after looking at the Democrats' disastrous environmental program. So he is again pushing Jill Stein, and Jill Stein's numbers, if you look at it in those three critical states, is the difference between President Trump and President Clinton.
I agree. And so I think other than creating some squeamish questions for people like me on air and, maybe just adding a little bit of fodder to some of the Hillary versus the 2020 hopefuls, I don't think this is a big story. I think Tulsi Gabbard might raise a couple bucks off of it. I don't think she's going to be a real contender. So all for naught.
Well, it wasn't a big story until Hillary Clinton addressed it and made it about Tulsi Gabbard.
And I'd quarrel with big. I think it's a story.
We shall see. The president, by the way, talking about big stories, the president, in this ongoing Q&A in the cabinet room, has just said that his being impeached is a foregone conclusion. So we'll wait for that tape to arrive any moment. Jackie Alamany and Joel Payne, thank you both so very much.